The New York Islanders acquire Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac.
Well, hold on. Dreger is saying cop to the Rangers. So
get down to it, Anthony. Patrick Kane is a New York Ranger. The Rangers gave up a conditional 2024 second-round pick and a 2024 fourth-round pick.
If Capo
Oh, shit. Thomas Hurdle to Vegas.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Come on. You gotta be kidding.
Are you kidding me?
Are
you kidding me? Yeah, ready for another crazy trade deadline coming today, or actually this week, and it's going to be. I actually can't wait for it. Hopefully, we have more moments like what we just had the last few years of us doing this, guys. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Big Apple Hockey, where it is getting close to trade deadline time, and a lot of questions still out there, especially for the two New York teams. I, of course, am your host, Marc Williams, who is getting ready for a move. So hopefully this all looks a little bit neater soon enough. And joined, of course, by the man from the final buzzer, Mr. John Volkowski.
2 days away. Starting to heat up.
Yeah, and 2 days away, but the man who's never that far away from the hockey news, Mr. Anthony Zoracco.
Elliot Friedman's reporting Mark Williams is being close to being traded to Disney Plus for Bluey. So that's going to be an interesting move.
If we can land Bluey, and it's going to just take me, I mean, that would be sort of like the ESPN trade back in the 90s of Andrew Shue for Charlie Steiner. Unfortunately, I'd end up being the Charlie Steiner part on Melrose Place. I just don't think I'd fit too well with Bluey. Although Daredevil Born Again is back on there, and that going down the small apple hockey could be worse. It could be going down the micro apple hockey. But guys, also it's getting down the trade deadline time, so let's fire up the A block and go right there as the New York Rangers and the New York Islanders are getting ready for the trade deadline. By the way, Big Apple Hockey trucker hats and shirts are available. Click the link below, and the A block is powered by Seat Geek. Use the promo code Big Apple Hockey to get $20 off your first order. And
yeah, a little mocking Elliot for his abbreviations there. I like it. I like it.
I don't know which one I don't like more, when he does all the abbreviations, or when the guys on NHL radio are always doing the person's initials and the jersey number.
Like, I like when he refers to Vancouver, he does VCR, or sometimes when he says Montreal, he does MON instead of MTL. But he's the GOAT right now in terms of insiders. So
he's doing VCR on purpose.
Yeah,
and I hope you know that.
And of course, the trade deadline special is on Friday. Everybody, make sure you tune in. We're gonna have guests and everyone. Just 5 hours worth of hockey talk, maybe even 4. So, also going into last week, or coming from last week, New York Rangers were 2-1, wins over the Predators and the Islanders. The Islanders 3-1, and they looked good last night. We're going to highlight that in 1 second, because Monday the Rangers shut out the Islanders at the Garden in a very critical game in this playoff chase. But last night the New York Islanders beat the NHL best Winnipeg Jets. Crazy. And I'll show the standings right over here. Anthony, you're in the top square today, and I'm going to ask you, what do the Islanders need to do? Should they be sellers or should they be buyers at the deadline?
Well, forget sellers or buyers. The conundrum right now is that they're 3 points out of a playoff spot with 21 games left, plenty of time. And if this was any other year, last year they were 6 points out at the deadline and Lou stood pat. The only reason why this is the discussion this year is because he has the pending UFAs in Nelson and Palmieri. So that's going to be the magic question. Does that win last night change anything for him? You know that Marc, as he always says, he typically always believes in his team. He never really gives up or waves the white flag. So I don't know if it did change. All I know is that the deficit of points is small, and that he might not be ready to pull the trigger. Now, if you listen to Brock Nelson last night, when Shannon Hogan was interviewing him, he was emotional. Like, you could tell that he had in his mind that maybe it's the last time he pulls on an Islander sweater. And from what I'm told is that, and which has been reported, he wants to stay. He wants to stay. His heart is on Long Island. But Lou Lamoriello, for once, and Phil, you got to give it to Lou because you'll criticize him. He's doing the smart thing. He's not offering Nelson term. He wants to keep him, but it's going to be on his terms. So the magic question is, did Nelson last night, the realization that it could all be over, was it strong enough where he says to his agent, look, I really realize, like, I want to stay here, just get a deal done. If he does that, then maybe a extension happens. But if not, then I think my gut is that he might go, because I don't think Lou is going to let him go for nothing. Now, the caveat to all of that is Lou's stubborn. We all know that. It's no secret. If he feels that he's not getting a good enough return in his eyes, he will say, screw it, I'm not going to move him then, because everything's on his terms. He's not going to move him if he feels like he's getting fleeced or if he's not getting enough in return. So that's still a possibility too. As far as selling or buying, we just talked about this before we went on the air. Phil talking about the Rangers. Lou shouldn't buy, but he should not buy. But if he comes across a piece that fits in long term, that helps him now and in the future, then yeah, why not do it? But he's not going to be buying in the traditional sense. He's not going to do. So the two questions are: does he sell, and does he also add a piece to help in the future? So it's really all up in the air right now. I don't know which way it's going to play out. All I know is that it's unfortunate if this is the end of the road for Nelson, because he was such a fantastic Islander. But I would say it's like 60 he goes, 40 he stays. So we'll see what happens.
Well, pivoting to the New York Rangers, Phil, what do you think that they're going to do at the deadline?
I think
or what should they do, I should say.
I think they're going to do some. It's a similar approach. It's that they're going to sell off Riley Smith. They're going to sell off what other UFAs that they're not going to re-sign. They're going to sell that off. But I was going to say this, for at least for Brock Nelson in the Islanders sense, they could Chapman it, and they can just they should take advantage of Brock Nelson and Kyle Palmieri. And if they both want to come back, then you pull on a Aroldis Chapman with the Yankees. As for the Rangers, I don't see them buying unless they have they have some sort of inclination that the pieces that they're targeting are going to be with them in the future. I would say that if you see a rental that you think that you're going to be able to re-sign him and he's going to be there long term, then yes, okay, I totally get that. I like Anthony said about the Islanders and them not being buyers in the traditional sense. That's the way I think it should be with Chris Drury. I don't think he should be looking into buying rentals again, like I said, unless there's a strong feeling that they're going to be able to re-sign whatever target they have in mind, whatever acquisition they have in mind. Otherwise, I think hockey trades are really what you could see from the Rangers. If there was like a hockey trade that comes out of nowhere, let's just say it's Buffalo. Let's just say it's something with Bowen Byram or Alex Tuck or something like that. Something, with a player with term, then that's what I think the Rangers should do. I don't see Drury being somebody who's going to go and buy on a bunch of rentals. It doesn't make sense for me. It doesn't make sense for this team. last year was the time to do that. And, we all know about the Gensel trade that fell through and how they wanted to pivot to Vetrano and Henrique after that, and that fell through. And then they were stuck with Wenberg because the Barabanov deal got messed up when San Jose decided to retain on Tomas Hertl's deal for the remainder of that deal last minute right at the trade deadline ended, as the clip that we showed at the very beginning with me calling it stupid. That kind of screwed the Rangers out of Alex Barabanov. So Chris Kreider, that could be a surprise deal by Friday if they find a return good enough and a contender wants to take on multiple playoff runs of Chris Kreider, then maybe that's something that I could see happening. But I don't see this as like the normal previous trade deadlines that they've had where they're going after rental and rental and rental.
This is going to be one of the most confusing trade deadlines, I think, possibly that we've ever covered, guys. Because after all, you look at the standings, you got 7 teams, 7 teams, and I didn't even include the Flyers in the standings that are separated by 5 points. Can each team make the playoffs? Absolutely. Can each team buy into it? Yeah. But they could also lose to the Buffalo Sabres tomorrow night because they've been that inconsistent. Look at the New York Rangers, especially, who lost 2 games to them. But it's
2 blowouts.
Yeah, and terrible blowouts. Like, they were done in the first period. So it wasn't even that it was just Buffalo coming on late. One of them was the night of my rehearsal dinner before my wedding. It's just, you're looking at it going, how much should you really buy in? And unfortunately, especially with the Rangers, it puts them in a more precarious situation. They decided to re-sign Igor Shesterkin. And once you committed that money, you have to keep going. I use the term pot committed for any poker players that are out there, but it's the truth. They're in this. You got to keep on spending. How reckless should you be? Well, fortunately, because Carolina's got him, you ain't getting Mikko Rantanen. You wonder how big of a deal that they're going to make. Now, other questions that we have about, and we've been throwing this out there for a while, Phil, and even Anthony has been with us on this. Moving Chris Kreider, could that happen? Yes. Could you do it now? I don't think it's likely. I think it's going to be at the draft. Same thing for Artemi Panarin, because I don't think he's going to be back next year as another one. I know the big toast of the town right now is, since February 1st, you guys know who's leading the league in points? Mika Zibanejad. Yeah. So you sit there and go, oh, so the Miller trade sparks Zibanejad, but he goes through hot and cold streaks too. I'm not sold on the Rangers because I don't know what they're going to be. I know everybody wants to do the, hey, we're back, baby. We're back right now. And then you look at the Islanders. Yeah. Then you look at the Islanders who I mean, a convincing win last night against Winnipeg. Sorokin steals the game against the Boston Bruins last week. Absolutely stole that game. And then come out Monday, they get the first goal. We'll put that in quotes. And it was a very weak goal. Fortunately for the Rangers, it was offsides. And that kind of then tilted the game over on the Rangers side the rest of the way. I wish I can put a finger on what these teams are. Anthony, what do you think? And also, the other question right there that I'm going to ask you is, if you're the GM, given the information that you have, what are you going to do?
Well, first, that game against the Rangers was exactly, they scored that goal, which was terrible on Igor. He got bailed out. But it was like after that goal got disallowed, the Islanders just like gave up, which was inexcusable. Like the wind got taken out of their sails and they just mailed it in for the rest of the time. And that to me is unacceptable, especially against your rival. But it was a completely different game after that. And if that goal stands, I mean, who knows how the rest of the game goes, but the effort just wasn't there after that. As far as what I would do, I mean, it's tough because, general managers, they're professionals, we're media /fans. So it's hard. I mean, they've been doing it for a while. The whole train of thought process is different. But, for me, when you just look at it on paper, they're 3 points back, and their next 2 games are against Anaheim and San Jose. Granted, Anaheim's playing better. They're still 2 weak teams, so that should theoretically be, 4 points. So banking 4 points right now when you're 3 out, I mean, that could be a big difference, So they're certainly not out of it. It really just going to depend on how Lou feels. Does he want to give this group one more crack at the can? I don't know if he does. No one knows what the guy's really thinking, right? So, but that's just the reality of it. He might look at it and say, okay, this is still doable. We're going to get Barzal back at the end of the year. Maybe fuck it. Let's try one more crack at the can before we, and then maybe in the off season we make big changes. So I don't know. I really don't know what I mean. Me personally, if I were him, I would try to win just because I'm old at that point. No offense to Lou, but and I referenced this at the top too. It also comes down to what you're getting for Nelson, right? In the comments, I responded to Wicked, like, if you're just going to get, for instance, the Jets, who are one of the best teams in the league, if they offer you a first, which is, could possibly be like 30 or 32nd overall, and a weak bottom draft and a mid prospect, I mean, is that worth it? I mean, what is it going to do for you? Like, I recognize the irony in that is that Nelson was selected 30th overall, but that's the outlier. Players drafted in that, section of the draft typically don't have a high success rate. So how much of that would move the needle for the Islanders? Probably not much. So maybe that's what Lou's weighing too. He's like, if the offers aren't good, why would I trade a guy that I want to keep? So it's all still up in the air. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'd be lying if I pretended if I said I did. But
what would you do though?
Well, I just said, if I were Lou, I'm old. No offense to Lou, I'd go for it. But that's just me. But with limits, I wouldn't do anything stupid. Like, I wouldn't trade my first and Danny Nelson and Cole Yzerman. I again, it would be within reason. But I don't know. No one really knows what Lou's thinking, honestly. So
yeah, that's where the tricky part on that is, because as we said over and over again, that he would rather gnaw off his arm than trade Brock Nelson. Philk, going over to the Rangers, what would you do with them?
Sell off Riley Smith, get what you can get. I'm starting to wonder if there's a bigger deal involved. Just because Riley Smith was held out of a game on Sunday. Like that's we're talking 4 days ago now.
Mm-hmm.
So now or 3 days ago rather. Now we're talking about him being dealt, and he still hasn't been dealt yet. You got to wonder if either Drury's trying to drum up the bidding war for him, or he's working on a bigger deal that includes Riley Smith. So I don't know what's going on there. Like Anthony said, I have no clue. I have no inside information. Could this be the case? Could this be why this is taking so long? Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. Who knows? I like Ryan McLeod. I think he would be a really good fit for the Rangers, just because they need a 3C and they need one that is younger and has term and is going to be with them for a while. So I think he would slot in perfectly there. I do think that they should probably kind of stay the course that they're on right now, make hockey trades if they're available, and if they could sell off a Kreider or a Riley Smith, then okay. Because not that I don't think Chris Kreider could help them in the playoffs if he's healthy. I do think he can. I just wonder how healthy he's going to be And I really am starting to think that he's not part of their future plans. And Vince Mercogliano wrote an article last night about that. And he's getting the feeling that Kreider's not a part of their plans and that they're going to move on from him. I do think you can maximize value by dealing him now because you're going to give a team an additional playoff run by doing so. So if they're going to do that, I think the time would be now. And I mean, I was kind of inferring on Saturday that they were getting these deals done so that they had more time to work on bigger deals by the Friday deadline.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think necessarily Chris Kreider would be one of them. I thought maybe they would be buying on a hockey trade with a longer term effect. So I'm with Evan on this, though. I think with him being in the memo, I think the writing has kind of been on the wall since then. So this really isn't totally shocking by any means. But if you can maybe you could add someone like Bowen Byram, then maybe you go and do that. But sell off the other pieces. Kaliev, he hasn't really done anything here or there. You can move him. You can move Kreider if you can. Riley Smith and Kaliev, Ruedel. I don't know if anybody's going to really be buying on Ruedel. I think that's maybe a 7th round pick if you're lucky. Maybe future considerations for him because he doesn't really have a lot of value. But again, targets with term is really what I would be doing if I'm the Rangers, and then sell off the UFAs.
Yeah, and I'm curious on what's going to happen with both of those players, with Kreider and with Brock Nelson, especially with the legacies both of them are leaving to their current franchises. Guys, usually we save this for after bar talk, but we're going to do some Big Apple Hockey Pick'ems right now, a little deadline edition. So let's start with that, and let's go right back to what we were saying before, guys. More likely a time for a Chris Kreider trade now or the offseason. Anthony, which one do you think?
I mean, I think I think it's definitely going to happen, that breakup. My guess is that it's the offseason, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was now either. But my gut says offseason.
Phil?
I lean towards offseason. I think now would be a better time to do it, but I think offseason is probably more likely just because of his contract.
I've actually been saying I think it's going to happen at the draft all along. I think the momentum's starting to pick up. It happens this week. So we'll see about that. More aggressive team this week, the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Winnipeg Jets, Mr. Filk?
I'm going to say Tampa. I think Winnipeg needs to make one move, and that's Brock Nelson. I think that was but they need a 2C. But I think Tampa has a whole bunch of other pieces that they could plug in. I think Tampa is going to be a team that's going to make several moves by Friday.
And it's funny you mentioned that. We'll talk more about that later. Anthony?
I'm going Tampa Bay as well. I mean, Winnipeg has been dominant all year. I don't really think they need a ton. Tampa Bay has caught fire recently. For a while, they were like with those bubble teams, but now they're up there in the Atlantic, and I think they're going to be aggressive to try to push them over the edge.
Anthony, good point, because right now they are 9-1 in their last 10. They caught fire, and yes, they are putting pressure on those top Atlantic Division teams. Empty Netters is trying to campaign to get Steven Stamkos back on the Lightning right now, which that would be an interesting chapter in their stories, given you let the captain walk out the door. Phil, we're going to go right back to you, especially with Anthony indisposed right now. Better fit for Mikko Rantanen, the LA Kings or the Florida Panthers?
This was a tough one for me. I think that long term, LA is probably the better fit, just because Oh my god! I just want this.
Yeah, might have.
Oh my god!
Might have.
Oh, I'm gonna go LA just because I think that I think that it's a better long term fit. Kopitar is getting up there in age, and so is Doughty. LA could use another scorer to complement Kempe in the top six. Florida really doesn't need him. It would be a luxury, and they would just be overkill if they got him, to tell you the truth. But I think LA, if they were to get him, and I think LA would be a better target because I think if Carolina deals him by Friday, they would probably want to deal him somewhere back west and not to another playoff team in the East, especially their home state rival. Like that's their biggest rival. They do not want to. Or actually, it's Tampa Bay. That would be their biggest rival. Sorry, but Carolina, one of the biggest teams that they're going to have to face coming to get out of the East is going to be the Florida Panthers. I don't think they want to do that.
Anthony, better fit for Mikko Rantanen.
I think hockey-wise, it's LA. But where Rantanen may want to end up as a UFA, I think it's Florida because no state income tax. It's just, it's a place that a lot of players love playing. So I think that could be the ultimate destination. But for right now, I mean, like Phil said, Florida doesn't really need him. He'd be a luxury. I think LA is really needs another top six player. So I think he would fit a lot better there right now.
Got to go LA too. I think they would use him as maybe that missing piece that would finally get them into the second round. Either they're going to face the Oilers or the Golden Knights in the first round. It seems like a ritual. LA makes the playoffs just to lose to the Oilers. And hopefully LA has enough firepower this year to actually be able to get into the next round. Mentioned it before. Better fit for Brock Nelson, Mr. LaRocco. Is it going to be his home state of Minnesota or the Winnipeg Jets?
I would say the Islanders. No,
Can't use that one.
I don't want to trade Brock. He's my boy. But no, I think they both need him. I would say right now, maybe Minnesota, just because they're dealing with so many injuries. Kaprizov's out, Eriksson Ek. I think they could use another top six player, top six forward. Obviously, Winnipeg he fits too. So this is actually a toss-up, to be honest with you. But I'm going to lean towards Minnesota right now.
Phil, which one do you think?
That's what I was thinking. Toss-up. This is so tough because Winnipeg needs a number 2 center right now. Like, you cannot go into this playoff run with Vladislav Nemesnikov as your number 2 center. I'm sorry. He's a good 3C. I have no problem with him there. We've seen that in New York with the Rangers. Thank you, Evan. I know it's not a layup, and I made sure it wasn't a layup. I really wanted Anthony to have to really put on the thinking cap for this one. But I'm going to lean Winnipeg. If you gun to my head, I'm going to say Winnipeg. And I think that because I think he could help push them towards getting out of the West finally and getting to the finals. I think he fits the type of game that Winnipeg plays, which is you get that lead and you lock down. He's a good enough defensive center. I definitely think that he fits there just a smidge better than Minnesota, even though I do think that, oh, God, you're going to get Anthony going right now with that question.
Yeah. Final boss.
I'm going to go with that. The better fit is Winnipeg. The more desperate team to get him is going to be Minnesota, because I think Minnesota needs some help right now. They got a negative, I think it's a -3 in goal differential. And they're one of 2 Western Conference teams. Yeah, -2, I'm sorry, in goal differential. One of 2 Western Conference teams right now in the playoff position with a negative goal differential. Now, of course, Kirill Kaprizov is going to change that as soon as he gets back, but they're still holding firm. They got 76 points right now.
They're real.
Oh,
Well,
man.
Lou would definitely put the gun to my head on that one.
Coming in and giving the Rock a rock bottom.
Yeah.
Or giving it a people's elbow.
But yeah, so that's what I think on Brock. I didn't know where to go with that one, Phil. So it's been a while since I had the people's elbow. Who's gonna have the bigger return? Is it gonna be Rickard Rakell or Kyle Palmieri? And guys, I'll start this one off. I think maybe it's gonna be Kyle Palmieri. I think he's the better player out of the 2 of them. Rickard Rakell, I think he's got another year under that contract, but I'm not. I'd rather go with Palmieri if you give me my choice. I'd pay more for him. Anthony.
I mean, is Rakell is he even moving? I know his name. I don't know if it's a lock that he moves. Rickard Rakell.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Rakell just because he's younger. But I'm not so sure that he even gets moved though. But if he did, I would say Rakell. Although after seeing Trent Frederic get a 2nd and a 5th, I think Palmieri would get more because he's a better player than Trent Frederic. So if Lou does move him, possible he gets a 1st for Palmieri. But again, I put a lot of focus has been on Nelson, but Palmieri, I don't know. I mean, Lou may opt to keep him. Honestly, I don't know, but I would say Rakell would get more just because he's younger.
Let me also add in Rakell has 3 more years remaining on his deal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's signed for till 27, 28. Phil?
I put this one together because I saw the return on Frederick, and I was just like, wow. Almost like if a rental like Frederick could get that, what could Palmieri get? I honestly think that this might end up being a little closer. I still think Rakell gets a little more, but I do think that after seeing that, I think the rental prices went up a little bit. So I'm going to go Rakell, but I really do think Lou would be stupid not to sell on Nelson and Palmieri right now, especially with the prices on the market.
Yeah, and I understand what Snappers is saying right here. Lou is not going to do anything and set the franchise back a year or 2 because he's a stubborn ass. But and that's his comment, not mine. Lou, don't come again.
Yeah, you don't want to wake up in the East River, Mark. Be careful.
Well, I was just reading the comment for the audio people. I do think Palmieri would fetch a good price, which would be funny because that would be the 2nd time we've been able to break a Kyle Palmieri trade. Because if you guys remember that first one, that was all the way back when we were still all things Rangers, and we were recording that on a Zoom, so it wasn't even a streaming thing. It was just Zoom.
If we don't hear from Snappers in for a couple of hours, I'll send out the search party.
You might have to send out a search party.
Yeah, he might go he might be going disappearing pretty soon.
Well, and that's the end for the Big Apple Hockey Pick'ems for the trade deadline. We're gonna have
making a Joseph McCall reference here.
My guys next week investigate as a murderer.
You should have pulled Joey. You should have pulled the line that Conan O'Brien did at the Oscars this week when he said his. Just remember when you tweet about me. My name is Jimmy Kimmel.
Marcus.
Well, fortunately, I'm going to be on the move soon enough. Guys, let's go to the event that happened last Saturday night. That was amazing. The Blue Jackets and Red Wings outdoor game drew the 2nd largest crowd in NHL history, and it delivered an average audience at home of 1.6 million viewers. It's up 16% from last year's game that was a Saturday night at that time. I did not look up the Rangers Islanders. It just said the 2024 Stadium Series, same time slot. It was all that. But first off, and I'll start with you on this one, Anthony. What'd you think of the game, and what'd you think of the atmosphere?
I thought it was a great atmosphere. I thought they did a great job involving the Gourde family and honoring Johnny and Matthew Gourde. I thought that was awesome to see from the Blue Jackets walking in and like his staple attire before the game, and they're all wearing the same thing. That was pretty cool. The game had meaning. These two teams are trying to make the playoffs again, battling out for wild card spots. So yeah, it was well put together. It was a great game. It had, like I said, it had meaning. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Phil?
Good game. Cool seeing those CCM retro sticks. I like those a lot. Thought they, a good job having the Gaudreaus in, and Guy has been in Calgary's practice lately. So
yeah,
the father, but it's pretty awesome to have them in that building. Over 94,000. It was 94,000, I believe it was. It was the second highest attended NHL game of all time.
What's number one, by the way?
What?
What's number one?
The 2014 Winter Classic at the Big House had, I think it was 104,000 people or 105, something like that.
That's right.
But yeah, it was good. The game was good. It was, Detroit being in there again and getting another outdoor game is crazy. But Columbus getting there first is good. It was in Ohio. It's a way to drum up interest in a hockey market, especially considering that they're playing well right now. They're in the hunt for a playoff spot. So good for them. We want trades too, AZ.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah, we're kind of hoping one's going to break that's not a backup goaltender. Keep going, folks.
Yeah, but it's good to see. It really is. I know that some people don't like all the outdoor games and it ruins the novelty. I think you need to get a little more of these. I don't think the Winter Classic should be the only one. I think if you could take advantage and gain more money and more exposure like this, then you should go ahead and do it. So good on the NHL. They did good with this. I would have liked to have seen it advertised a little better, but 1.6 million viewers is pretty good. So maybe they did good enough. But again, I'd like to see a little more attention to this. I personally didn't see a whole lot of commercials and ads for this. So I would like to see more.
Yes, yeah, you started seeing more of them around the end of the Four Nations tournament. This was a great event. I can't help but kind of smile and laugh and just think about the last goal, which was the empty netter, which was scored by Adam Fantilli, who went to Michigan. And and he scores the last goal at Ohio Stadium, home of the Ohio State Buckeyes. But it was kind of fun dynamic with Dylan Larkin planting the Red Wings flag at center ice. There was a lot of and the NHL needs to show more personality in these moments, and it was great for them to do the tributes to the Goudreau family. We talked about this last week that there's only 2 teams left that have not had an outdoor game. We'd like to get that covered next year. So we know that it's going to be the Panthers in the Winter Classic versus the Rangers. Good. Now get Utah a game, put it at BYU Stadium, and just complete everything. And then get more interest, because this was like a double. Their home run was the Four Nations. If the Four Nations was a home run, this was like a double. And I know right now a lot of the talk is the NHL is hot, the NBA is not. This one, they kept the momentum going. And the game itself was pretty good, guys. It got down to the final couple minutes. And for the Islanders and the Rangers, who were chasing both these teams, it was sort of a nightmare thinking, oh, no, it's going to be a 3-point game. Ends up getting solved in regulation. But I digress. So let's take a quick word from DraftKings, guys, and let's go do some bar talk. Hockey fans light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot and an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sports app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
I'm going to say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. And welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk, where we're gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. You so confident that you're buying around? So have a beer. Oh, God, I need a shot. Play along down in the comments below. I know already Evan has already called it layup talk, so we'll just keep on. We'll keep going on from there. And you know what, guys, feel free to submit a topic, and we're gonna go. Oh, just a reminder, by the way, our deadline special Friday at noon. Who knows? We could be going on earlier if there's a big trade that's announced, or who knows if there's a trade tomorrow that's announced. We might be back on for this
Later today.
Jeez, we're already packing it all in. Hopefully during this stream, that would be nice of them. Sort of like how it was on Saturday when.
But remember, you hate trades before the trade deadline for the purpose of our show.
Well, it's not just the purpose for the show. Last year, again, I was unavailable because I was in Arizona. Yeah. But this year, it's a little bit easier now that I'm kind of off the clock. So let's go to this interview last night, guys. Brock Nelson with Shannon Hogan.
What's the most special part about playing here at UBS Arena for you?
Everything. I mean, all of it. I think it's a great place, great fans. Yeah.
Brock, I hope to see you soon. Thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Oh, nice.
And you could tell how emotional he was, obviously. Anthony, you look at his numbers. 901 games, that's fourth in Islanders history. 295 goals, that's fifth in Islanders history. 574 points, that's eighth in Islanders history. If Brock Nelson is traded, he's a top 10 Islander all time.
All right, well, no particular order. First, you got to go with the dynasty guys. So you got Potvin, Trottier, Bossy, Smith, Gilly, so that's 5 right there. And then you have Tavares, you have LaFontaine, you have Turgeon.
Palffy.
So that's 8.
Palffy.
So, yeah, Palffy's. So you're talking maybe 1 or 2 spots there for him. I mean, yeah, it's real close. I want to say round, but I'm gonna say beer because I guess you could. I mean, you can mention Palffy, you can mention Bailey. He had a long career there. Yeah, it's close. The only thing that Palffy's not as long, Turgeon's not as long. I mean, this guy played 12 years there now. So, actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna say round. I mean, 4th in games played. What did I say? 5th in goals. So yeah, I'm gonna say round. And like I always said, if he had signed or if he does sign and he finished his career with the Islanders, he's gonna end up first all time in games played. 3rd in goals. The only 2 people he's not gonna catch are Bossy and Trottier in goals. So yeah, you know what? Round.
Philk?
Round. You know what? And I'm not trying to make this as a shot at the franchise or anything like that. But after the dynasty guys, there's not a lot of players that have had a lot of long-term success with them. LaFontaine was there for 5 seasons, 6 seasons.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
And then he got dealt for Turgeon, who was there for what, 2 seasons? Palffy was on a fast track to be probably the best player outside of all the dynasty guys. He really was. And then he got dealt when, times were really hard financially there. They dealt him, right before Wong came in and everything happened. But I can't think of many other great Islanders that I can think of right off the bat that I would say that I would put ahead of Nelson. And I know people say Bailey because he played 1,000 games and he was there and scored some big goals, but was Josh Bailey really a better player and more important to the Islanders than Brock Nelson?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I can't look you straight in the eye and say that. So I'm going to say round. I would even go to say so there's 5 dynasty guys, right? There's Bossy, Trottier, Potvin, Gillies, and Smith.
Yeah.
I would put him probably at 6.
Really?
Yeah.
Over to Tavares?
I would go as high to say 6.
First, let me commend Anthony for actually saying John Tavares' name, because I know a lot of people.
Tavares. Yeah. All right. Sorry. 7.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make it a hat trick, guys, and it's not necessarily a layup, so we're gonna just sweep away those hats. There's the round that I'm gonna put up there. This to me, I thought was a no-brainer, and then before we went on, Anthony went, "Well, it's not that easy." The thing about LaFontaine is he had good years with the Islanders, and he had a little bit more longevity. He had great years with the Buffalo Sabres, and then kind of not as much longevity there. Turgeon, his problem, again, longevity. I think he only had 4 seasons with the Islanders. And the same sort of true about Zygmunt Palffy. And again, different circumstances on there. Obviously, Pierre Turgeon, they moved on from him, and the hit from Dale Hunter did change things, even though he put up respectable numbers and then would get over it and get into the Hall of Fame. Then you had Zygmunt Palffy, who played in the worst time for Islanders ownership.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, he should have been here for a long time. Yep. And then you look at Tavares, who played during the leanest years, you could argue, in Islanders history. So you get Brock Nelson, clutch, even better. He's probably one of the best players I've seen after the age of 29 compared to the years before that. And he's really turned in a really good career. I also think he's Raptors worthy. I'll say that one right now. And who knows? Maybe they deal him. Maybe he comes back, pulls a Doug Weight.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf.
I would take him.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I mean, he's like Megatron, Calvin Johnson. He's just really big, and he's just a beast. He's
the matchup nightmare.
Yeah.
We just lost Marc. I think his connection.
Marc.
Either Marc accidentally X'd out of the box or his connection went.
There you are.
Yeah, accidentally swiped out of that, guys. So there we go.
I thought you were so excited about DK Metcalf requested a trade. You tried to get in touch with Dolphins brass to get him on.
No, but it would be nice. I mean, who's going to throw him the football since Tua still doesn't know where the hell he is? But, who am I to say that? By the way, guys, once again, the Winnipeg Jets lead the NHL with 88 points. And the man they should target is the guy that had a goal against them last night, Mr. Brock Nelson. We're all going to say yes to this, right? They should be targeting Brock Nelson.
This is a hoop.
Yeah, this
is get the hoop.
This is a hoop.
This is the hat trick. Yes, this is a hoop. This is where Evan and Matt come in and they just start shaking their heads.
Yeah.
They mentioned the hoop. Yeah, see? Hoop.
See, this is the easiest one because we already discussed it twice. I was going to abandon this one topic, but we figured we should just go on with that one. DK Metcalf, jeez. Now you got me distracted by DK Metcalf. But,
showers Marc.
Yeah. Guys, let's move on to the hit on Sunday night where Matt Rampe did not face any discipline for his hit on Blankenship. And it did kind of look like he might have chicken winged them, but it's just Matt Rampy's size, which leads into this question. Phil, Matt Rampy's sorry, what'd you say, Anthony?
Isn't it Blankenberg?
Is Blankenberg?
No, I don't think it was.
It is Blankenship?
We'll find out if I'm wrong later. I know Blankenship was a Giants.
Or maybe
No,
the
it's
Blue
Dick
Jackets?
Blankenberg.
It is Blankenberg.
Yeah, I thought so.
Mother fun. There we go.
right.
All right, so
Hit
I'll get the Marc messed up gift that comes out right now.
URG, Mark.
it again, Evan. Hit Mark with the Mark. Enjoy the
All right.
mini apple hockey showers.
All right, but Phil, Matt Rampy's size makes him the hardest player to officiate.
This has got to be a hoop too. This has got to be a hoop because he's literally just 6'8", and he's lowering himself to try to get like good position to hit players cleanly, and he's still connecting. Like the player, like Blankenberg was like down a little bit, so he was in kind of a I don't want to say a vulnerable
There's
position.
a big one.
What?
There's a big one. Bjorkstrand and Gourde.
Whoa!
Whoa!
That's a needle mover. I'm
Yeah.
not surprised by this one bit, though.
Potentially about
Told you
Oliver
Tampa Bay was
Bjorkstrand
gonna be
and
aggressive.
Yanni Gourde.
Told you Tampa was going to be aggressive.
Yeah, and I mean that is a needle mover trade, by the way, right there.
Yeah, that's absolutely a needle mover.
No, those are two. Those are. I mean, Gourde is a third line. I mean, yeah, a third line center, but a really good one. And Bjorkstrand is a
He's
good
a top six winger.
I wonder. I'm very curious to see what the return there is. I mean, it's
How does Tampa Bay have the picks and the prospect capital to make these deals happen? That's what I want to know.
But salary wise too. I mean, someone from Tampa's got to be going back to Seattle. No.
Friedman is wondering whether Atkinson's waiver status is affecting this. Oh, here we go. Thankful Mark didn't take my last name when we got married. Could you imagine his spelling of?
I would have learned it through and through, and I still get it right. Well, the funny part is that when I looked at the replay to make sure I'm like, oh yeah, it's Blankenship.
Oh my God.
I couldn't read I tried to double check and make sure I got that one. But Rampy's size, I do think, makes him incredibly difficult because how is it that he's able to get lower and yet still I remember I think it was last year he got a major penalty called against him and he had the elbow tucked. So I don't know. We're gonna move on from this topic. We'll go to the next one and we'll talk. Thank you, babe. We'll talk more about wow.
Maria just crossed you up like Iverson on Jordan.
Well, to be fair.
Good with
Oh
that.
my God, Michelle Milot. So hot.
To be fair, she's got the most amount of material on me. So let's go on, guys. We'll move on to the Metro Division standings. We'll talk more about this trade in a moment. Let's look at the Metro standings, where I can't believe I'm actually putting the Rangers now on this list because Washington's got 86 points, Carolina 76, Devils 72. Now the Rangers 6 points behind the Devils with 2 games in hand. The Devils in the last 10, 4-6, and Jack Hughes, that was a pretty nasty injury he had the other night. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like, they still haven't said anything on it.
They haven't said anything. Well, the last update I got is that he's trying to decide whether or not he wants to go through with surgery.
Yeah, if it's surgery that he's done for the year.
I mean, at what point do you start to have the conversation about Jack Hughes being fragile? Like, as good as he is.
He's wire thin. Not only that, but he disappeared in the big games in the Four Nations. He wasn't good at all.
Well, one thing's for certain, he's probably going to have to bulk up a little bit. And there's a lot of players that have gone through this. They've got injury portion. Yeah, McKinnon. But they've had like an injury-riddled early part of their career. I mean, I guess think about Brian Leach too. Same thing. And then they end up developing physically, and they can leave the injuries behind. But guys, and I'll start with you, Anthony. The Devils are in trouble.
The Lightning have $5.5 million in cap space, by the way. So
who?
The Lightning have $5.5 million in cap space. So
they're going to need a team to retain, retain and broker.
Because doesn't Bjorkstrand make around $5 million himself?
He does. I think he makes like 5.75 or something like that.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a third team in there, or Seattle's retaining a shit ton of money.
Because
5.4.
They're working on that trade.
5.4 for Bjorkstrand, and Gourde, I think, is close to that too. Because Gourde is 5.166.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the Lightning's roster, I mean, who are they sending back the other way that has salary? I mean, everyone that carries a decent amount of salary on, like Anthony Cirelli, like he's not going anywhere. I mean, Nick Paul, wouldn't they move Nick Paul back to Seattle? I don't know.
That wouldn't make sense for them, though. They need the depth.
Yeah. And everybody else on their roster makes peanuts. Like Essiemont's $800,000, Glendenning's $800,000. It doesn't really move the needle.
Glendening is nothing. Mitch Chaffee is nothing.
Yeah, none of those. So I'm curious. I'm going to be really curious over their turn. But
they're going to. So Seattle. So what's going to hold this deal up is probably Seattle retaining. Let's see. Do they have all? I think they have all their retaining spots or retention spots. Yeah. I don't think they've used any. No, they haven't used any. And it would be probably that, and then maybe getting a third team to broker in.
Yeah,
because this is going to be a very complex trade. Okay, if they moved Perbix, then they're going to need another defenseman at that point.
Yeah,
and Perbix has actually been pretty good for them.
Because the rest of their, I mean, if they move Perbix, they got Hedman, McDonough, Chernak, Moser, Radish, and Lilleberg. That's not really a great unit to begin with.
Their top four is decent. It's the bottom pair.
Yeah.
Darren Radish and Emil Lilleberg really is kind of not a great pair. I mean, if they go after somebody, are they going to go after Carson Soucy or something like that?
Yeah.
And I mean, if they're going to do that, then they're going to also have to have someone retain on him.
Yeah.
So they're going to have Vancouver retain on him, or a third team get involved in broker salary retention on that too.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Mark. I shouldn't. But
oh no. Well,
back to this.
We kind of got off.
Well, but hold on. Let me say you up again. The Devils are in trouble.
It's around. I mean, they're struggling. They were struggling before Hughes got hurt. Columbus is breathing down their neck. The Rangers are getting a little closer. So yeah, I think certainly around. Now, just the question is, does Fitzgerald add? Like he's got to add. I mean, because he can't just wave the white flag and just accept what's going on right now. So I think he's going to make a move of some kind to bolster his team. He has to, because right now they're going to keep sliding. So I mean, yeah, this is an easy round.
Phil, same thing, easy round.
Yeah, but Evan's right. Lob City here. Get the Blake Griffin jersey, because get the hoop and the Blake Griffin jersey, because this is absolutely around. The Devils don't have a great enough forward unit to make this without Jack Hughes. I just think that, and then Dougie Hamilton got injured last night in the first period. I don't think he returned after that.
Yeah, you didn't.
So that's not good. And you look at their forward lineup without him. You've got Meyer, Bratt, Heischer, Palat, who's been just awful for them. He's been an albatross for them because his offense just isn't there. The defensive play hasn't been what it was cracked up to be. Dawson Mercer has been pretty good. And then, what is it? Holla. Stefan Nason's a good third liner, but he's a complimentary piece. Tatar, Bastion, you have Curtis McDermott playing left wing now? I thought he played defense. But and then you had frigging Curtis Lazar, Paul Cotter. Like, it's all just depth players. So I don't know. I think that you have just not enough there, and it's just not enough.
And yeah, this is an easy round, obviously, but the real kind of sidebar question on that is, are they in danger of missing the playoffs? I mean,
They are.
It sounds hard to say, guys. I mean, look at the Rangers. They're the last wild card. The Rangers would have to be the team that they were last year in order to accurately say they're going to get to the Devils. But, you know, I also can't help but just wonder, with Hughes out, that completely changes around the dynamic, and Markstrom is trying to work his way back in. They got beat in the closing seconds last night. I know it was Dallas. I know that they came back and tied it in the final minutes as well, but it's something to be concerned about, especially with the health of Jack Hughes. But we were talking about our trade bait guys, and Jake Evans re-signs with the Montreal Canadiens, 4-year deal, $2.85 million AAV. Phil, does this signal that Montreal is buying?
No, I'm gonna go shot. I don't think this does anything to signify that they're buying at all. I think they found a player that they really like that's played well for them. He's young enough at 28 to fit into their trajectory going forward, and they got him at a reasonable cap hit over the next 4 years. They didn't go full Goudreau, Rangers Goudreau, I should say, and overpay him drastically and give him too much term, like a 6 or 7 year deal, like the Rangers did or the Islanders did with Engvall. They didn't give him any trade protection. So if they decide that, like, let's just say next year everything bottoms out, you know, they could go and sell him off at next year's deadline if things don't go their way, and they could probably get a good return for him. So I do like this deal for Montreal a lot. Jeff Gorton, golf clap for him, just because, you know, he made a good deal here, or Kent Hughes, I guess, if at this point, because it's his team. But it's a movable contract. It's a good player. It's a very reasonable deal, and it's a player that fits their trajectory going forward. So, no, I don't think this is like what I would want the Rangers to do. Identify a guy that fits going forward, and then you sign him to a reasonable deal, or if he's got term left on his deal, that's the guy that you trade for. So Montreal did what I think the Rangers should do.
Anthony, Montreal's going to start buying?
No, it's a shot. They're a team that's obviously they've been in a rebuild. They made progress this year. Only one point out of playoff spot, 2 points out. So
1 point.
They're not going to mortgage the future. They're still kind of coming out of this. So Ken Hughes isn't going to do anything stupid. He's got Demidov coming. He's got young players in the fold. I mean, Lane Hudson looks to be a fixture in their defense for years to come. So they're just going to continue with their plan. Just like we mentioned for the Islanders and the Rangers, if there's a player that they identify that they can get that will help them now and in the future without mortgaging the future to acquire that player, I think they're going to look at it, but they're not going to be buyers in the traditional sense and spend assets on a rental.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to say the word beer, guys, and just say that they're going to dip their toe. They might grab a player or two and see if they can make a run at this. But they're, as Anthony just said, they're not going to be buying. They're not going to be going in for Brock Nelson or let me just pull all their names off the board, or Brock Besser or Scott Lawton. I mean, we'll see what they're going to be, but no, they're not going to start pushing right there. Let's go to the Western Conference standings, which that is actually gotten an interesting wrinkle right now. Sure, you go look at the wild cards there. Colorado's going to be a lock to go in, But you look at the second one, Calgary 67 points, Vancouver 65. St. Louis 64, Utah 63. And now the Anaheim Ducks have kind of entered the mix on that because they're
what does that mean?
The Mountain Dew.
I know Mountain Dew, but why? I don't get
I don't know, but it's just funny.
Oh well, no, the code red. That's from Few Good Men.
Oh, wow.
Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right, I did.
I mean, he could have. Yeah, that could be it too. But I mean, the code red is Mountain Dew.
Lou drinks espresso all day and has espresso martinis at nighttime. He doesn't drink code red.
But guys, you look at the Anaheim Ducks. They now have a 5% chance of making the playoffs. Phil, the Ducks are actually in this playoff race.
I don't trust Anaheim. I'm gonna technically yes,
yeah,
but I mean I'm gonna go beer here just because I can't say shot because only because of technical purposes, only because of the points, the actual points. But do you really trust Anaheim to get a playoff spot over the other teams that they're fighting? Like, come on, really?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no. They have to leapfrog 4 teams at the very least. They're 6 points back of Calgary. And yes, they have a game in hand, but that would only get them 4 points back. The 3 teams ahead of them that are outside the picture, we can all agree are better teams than Anaheim. Anaheim's also a relatively young team compared to the 3 teams in front of them, and 2 of those teams have playoff experience and have experience being in this position in Vancouver and a cup winner in St. Louis, a relatively recent cup winner in St. Louis that still has a decent amount of guys left over from that cup run. So if you want to, I guess, undermine Utah a little bit, okay, but you really see them leapfrogging Vancouver or St. Louis? And then even then at that point, Calgary, which is getting really great goaltending from Dustin Wolf right now and Dan Bledar. Like, I don't see it. I really don't. I'm sorry. Give them 2 to 3 years, and they're going to be one of the better teams in the West, but they're not here yet.
Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, so 6 points out, technically speaking, yes, but realistically, no. Also, too, don't rule out the possibility that they trade John Gibson. I know Dustell's there and really the main guy, but still moving Gibson will hurt them a little bit. Similar to Montreal, it's not their time. Soon it will be, but I would be shocked if the Ducks got further into it or even made it. So,
yeah, they
No.
I'm still not doing that one.
No. Anaheim's not doing that, and I want no part of Trevor Zegras. No, thank you.
At least definitely not right now. Anaheim went up to Edmonton and laid a 6-2 smackdown on them. So that was last night. I don't think that they're in it. So I'm going to put the shot glass up there. And I mean, could they be? But if they're going to deal John Gibson, which we're about to talk about in a second, then no. I'd have to say Dostal would have to carry a bigger workload, and I don't think he's ready for that yet. They still need a backup goaltender to get him over the finish line. I don't think that happens. Which, by the way, only a couple hours before we got on, Vitek Vanacek went from the San Jose Sharks to the Florida Panthers. Anthony, we already got 1. 2 goalies will be moved at the trade deadline.
I mean, Gibson possibly. Yeah, round. Because even if it's not Gibson, I'm sure there'll be some sort of fringe backup that changes hands in a move. So I'll say round.
Yeah, and I do mean a little bit more of like an NHL backup. Don't don't have a third stringer that people are going to
Well,
talk
you said
about.
2 goalies. Technically, it's 2 goalies.
I know, but still technically speaking, you're right on that. I just don't want people thinking we're going with a third string goalie that's going to be there. But this one would count. So yes, this would. Phil?
So we're not including Knight and Vanacek. This is aside from them, correct?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Oh, Vanacek counts. Because I guess, I got to make it 3 now.
So you're saying another goalie will be traded by the
Another goalie will be traded.
Okay.
I keep forgetting Spencer Knight was in that deal.
I could see a backup being dealt somewhere. I don't.
That's why I said around. So
I could see. It's not. That's not a given though. Who else really needs a backup at this point? Edmonton.
Edmonton might need a new starter.
Yeah. Oh man, Gibson's got 2 years of term left. He's got a 10-team no trade list at 6.4. I said that I could see Edmonton getting aggressive, but what pieces do they have to get him? That's really what I wonder, because Gibson to Edmonton makes perfect freaking sense. It really does.
It really does.
They just don't have a lot of cap space, so Anaheim would have to eat on that. And I don't know if Anaheim is willing to eat for another 2 years after this on a $6.4 million contract. They have Cam Fowler retained for another year after this. So they have retention spots, but I'm gonna stick with Beer because it's a backup. I don't know about the Gibson deal. I think Gibson might happen in the offseason, but I think it finally happens sometime between now and the end of July, I would say.
You ever have that moment where you heard something fall over and you're like, where the hell did that go? Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb, guys. I'm going to say John Gibson finally gets traded this year. Finally. Where? Don't know. No idea. Because there's a number of different teams I can imagine with that. And I'd have to think, Stuart Skinner's got an .897 save percentage. Can you really go into the Stanley Cup playoffs thinking this guy's going to get us back to the finals? Stranger things have happened, and if he does, then that's really going to make the Igor Shesterkin contract look even worse. But,
Jesse Puljujärvi's on waivers today because he signed with the Florida Panthers, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So Puljujärvi signed with the Panthers?
Yeah, so he's on waivers because of that, yeah.
Okay. All right. So they're looking to add some depth. Maybe they go after a top 6 scorer then, because I think Puljujärvi's a decent bottom 6 player. Finlandia and Florida.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's right.
THG is also saying Verona is on waivers.
Yeah, so is Jordan Osterley from Bruins is on waivers too, defenseman.
Verona could be a good pickup for somebody. I'm not sure what his contract is. What is he looking like contract-wise? Oh, he's on a 1-year deal at $775.
Yeah.
That's not even bad at all. It's nothing. If he doesn't work out, which he only has 11 points in 26 games for the Capitals, he could still be like a decent bottom 6 scoring winger for you. He's got a ton of speed.
Yep, he does.
He can shoot. You gotta wonder who could pick him up.
Well, so 370 watching right now. Thank you to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, you're going to be seeing more of us with all these you never know when a trade breaks. So
yeah.
As we're waiting on this Lightning Kraken one, I'm convinced there's going to be a third team brokering this. I think there's just gotta be the math doesn't really add up. I know Evan was saying they could wait for Friday, but I think there's going to be a third team involved in this. Loose spike in my coffee. Mark, why don't you call up Lou again for all time's sake right now? Get him on the horn and ask him, hey, what are you thinking about trading Brock Nelson? And see put it on speaker so we can hear the reaction.
The simple words of who the hell is this would be coming out of his mouth.
No, he won't forget your voice. He has it saved. If he heard it again, he would immediately have someone knock on your door. We see you be carried off the screen right now by men in suits.
Come and knock on See, that's where I could really use the GIF for the video of Ned Flanders being carried away, screaming by the orderlies.
We'd have to get Jack Reacher to get Mark out of this mess.
So I'm looking at Puckpedia right now, the Lightning's roster. And it doesn't. Sherry isn't even on it, so I think he's already down. Yeah, he's listed in the buried section. So I think his salary is already off the books right now. I don't think he's not even on the main roster.
Yeah, I think it's gonna require.
Oh yeah, Sherry's a buried contract.
Yeah, it's gonna require retention plus probably a third team.
Yeah.
And that's why I think this deal's probably not going to happen today. I don't think this is going to happen today. I think if anything, it happens by Friday, but they're clearly working on something. It's got to be the financials that they're trying to figure out. They probably. Yeah. Oh God.
No, probably not.
Nope.
Well, Snarky is living up to his name right now. That's definitely a trolling comment from Snarky.
That's probably a word. That's a no for me, dog.
Snarky.
Honestly, I think I won't be surprised if the Islanders re-sign Tony DeAngelo, and he's on the team next year. I wouldn't. It's not a pressing matter. I don't think it's going to happen like now, but. I wouldn't be surprised if the Islanders re-sign him.
He's got 6 points in 14 games. That's not anything really to write home about. But he is still getting used to this team.
Yep.
What's exactly his value in the NHL now?
Not a lot. He's playing 23 minutes a game right now for them.
Yeah,
that's what's
minutes.
Yeah,
because he's also one of the better power play options they have. Like people talk about Dobson, but Tony's a puck mover. He can move the puck as well, probably as well as Dobson. Tony said, you got to remember, Tony had a 50-point season with the Rangers in only like 60 games.
Yeah.
He was on pace for like 65 points.
No, I mean, say you want about him, but he has offensive skill.
He just sucks on defense.
Yeah. But I also think the Islanders may revamp their defense this offseason. So that's why I think they might keep him because they might move some other defensemen. So
4 own goals, yeah. Tony since being acquired by the Islanders, since they signed him and being brought up, he does lead the NHL in own goals in that time.
Well, that doesn't matter compared to, say, the own goal of the week that goes to Steven Stamkos that led to Ilya Sorokin getting his first ever NHL goal.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. Anthony, how much of a concern is it of Noah Dobson regressing?
Well, I think just if you look at the team, a lot of the team has had offensively had down years. So it's not just him. I mean, his numbers are down. Horvat's numbers from last season are down. Nelson's numbers from last season are down. A lot of the guys. I mean, really, it's only Lee and like Simon Holmstrom, and actually I think Pajot a little bit that are having better years. So because of that, you can't just look at it and be like, it's just Dobson. It's a bunch of guys. So I don't think it's just him. The more concerning part is the defensive side of it. The defensive side is what worries me a little bit more than him having a down year offensively. So, but again, he still is young, and Dennis Potvin had said that. He said it takes defensemen, over, I forget the number of games he said, maybe I think he said 300 or something like that before they like really, really come into their own. And so I think I'm not worried about his dip in offense because you see his ability. I just wonder if he could finally just get over some of the brain dead stuff he makes defensively. That's more of the issue for me. But we'll see. He's up for a big contract, so the Islanders have to pony up because another team would give it to him if they don't.
Yeah, because that's a major concern because we had him at least duplicating his numbers from last year, and he's going to come nowhere close, and he's just looked lost defensively at times. By the way, we'll take some of your comments and questions, guys. Especially the Chick-fil-A sauce. I'm not big on the Chick-fil-A sauce. I'm bigger on their the
Mark
sriracha
Williams,
one.
you would say that.
Well, I mean, it's honey mustard. That's all it really is.
No, it's not.
That's okay.
Chick-fil-A sauce, not honey mustard.
Okay. Still wasn't that exactly impressed by it.
Pagnotta saying Seattle has been willing to retain salary on certain deals, so I wouldn't be shocked to see retention here.
Yeah, Jay, they're working on a deal we were talking about before. I think that it's a matter of financials now at this point. I think it's going to require a third team to broker. So I think it's going to take them a bit to get that deal done. After that comment, it's so working to be done.
Oh, no.
He's pizza with the fork.
Just because I don't like the chick. I go for the hotter sauce, the sriracha one.
Oh,
that should give me street cred.
Oh my God. Johnny is asking if we think Kreider or Miller gets. We talked about Kreider, and we see more of an off-season deal. I think Miller is definitely an off-season deal if they deal him. So.
Yeah, I think Miller happens in the offseason.
Mark, are you firing up a fucking who's that player?
Yeah, you guys want to do a quick? I know Anthony just did the Let's Play Puckdoku, but
yeah,
we'll do a quick name that player. We'll see if you guys can make short work of this one. And keep firing questions in, everybody. We'll answer all of them that we can.
Snickers with a fork like George Costanza.
How does every stream end up in everyone bullying Mark?
Because I can actually take it pretty well. That's the short
Maria
answer on
goes, that. No, Maria goes, I can confirm he does not eat pizza with a fork, at least not in front of me.
See, that's where I could get help.
Oh. Silly Mariota.
All right, guys, here, let's do a quick name this player. I'll try to get through most of this. That way you guys can I'll try to narrate it for the audio people. I know you're going to get them all very quickly. But here's this player. This is our first one. He started his career with the Quebec Nordiques, then went to the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Detroit Red Wings, back to Quebec, Minnesota North Stars, where his most famous moment of his career happened.
I can't see those years. That's...
No, don't worry. I'll tell you. It was in 1990, 91, 92. Whereas, again, the most famous moment of his career happened in that span. He was with Tampa Bay, St. Louis, and then finished with Chicago. He has a career total of 2,457 penalty minutes.
Is that Tony
Name
Twist?
this player.
Tony Twists? Yeah, I was about to say it too.
No.
Ooh, okay. So it's Quebec, Toronto, Detroit, Minnesota.
Back to Quebec.
It can't be the Minnesota North Stars because that looks like 97, 98.
That is the Minnesota North Stars. 80. That's 87 to 88. And
you
then,
said 91, 92 he started it.
Well, no. I said 91, 92. He was there till then.
So hold on. So he was drafted early on. What in the early 80s?
In the early 80s.
Okay, so 81, 82 is when he started.
His first year.
Correct.
It ended in Chicago in 96, 97.
96, 97.
And I am giving a hint that his most famous moments happened in those Minnesota years.
So from 87 to 92?
Yeah.
So that's like around the years they played the Penguins in the finals, right?
This isn't This isn't one of the Chaconies, is it?
No.
No, because they weren't on the North Stars. This is a harder one. Played also with Detroit. Who's in Detroit?
He was in a movie.
Basil McRae?
It is Basil McRae. Yeah. I was waiting for one of you guys to get that one. Because
when you said movie, I was like Minnesota North Stars, early 90s. It had to.
Yeah, because Modano was the other guy in the movie in that.
He was with Mike Modano.
Yeah,
they both went to the rink.
Yeah.
Do you know what I love? He's one of two stories that I've heard where he says I was in the NHL this amount of years, but then and everybody knows me from the Mighty Ducks. The other story I could think about is actually the guy from Star Trek Voyager, that he was in there for 7 seasons, I think he said, but everybody remembers him from Spaceballs being the guy saying, "We ain't found shit." Okay, good. Hey, I actually think, guys, I think we got a troll that's over here, a sex bot or something, but
yeah,
don't that one out.
About it.
Yeah, we'll get that one out in a minute. All right, guys, this guy started with the Boston Bruins.
Marius Chukowski.
Yeah.
Then he went to the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah,
then he went to the New York Islanders.
I can tell by those two seasons in 2000 and 2001.
I knew right away when I saw started with Boston, Islanders for a while, and then ended with Boston.
Yeah.
All right. So, and he even married a Bond girl in the middle of all that.
Oh, from the one from GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, not Famke Janssen.
Whatever her name is. It's the one that played Natalia.
Yeah, I always forget her name. I remember she was in the movie Silent Hill. That's what I always remember.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, you were in that movie.
Let's go to full screen.
All right, here's this last one. This guy started with the San Jose Sharks. Then he went to the New York Rangers, over to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Michael Samuelson.
To the Florida Panthers, to Detroit for several years, Vancouver. And this is why it's hard to play this game with these guys, because they got Michael Samuelson. So that was right. All right. So, all right. There's a quick name that player. And we got all kicked out right there. So
yeah, we all did.
Hello from work. Yeah, pretty sure. I don't understand why that's not coming up. If you guys want to get that one banned, or why isn't that happening? All right, anyway, so let's get this started for Puckdoku.
Fire it up, you Mariota bastard.
Jeez, Anthony, a little less aggressive there, buddy.
Sometimes just get fired up.
All right. Technically speaking, my parents were married. Anyway, all right. And here we go. This is the Puckdoku we're gonna have right here. And your top access is the Maple Leafs, the Capitals, and the New York Rangers. And the y-axis is the Canadiens, Nashville Predators, and they have to have one shutout in a season. Only one shutout. So, Phil, pick a square.
Rangers, Nashville. I think you could go Joel Bouchard.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Wow, I was actually going to go Darren Turcotte, but we'll go Joel Bouchard because he should be under 1%.
Probably be. Well, actually, no one really remembers him as a Predator.
Go full screen.
Exactly, that's why you go lower on that one.
Mark,
well, the Capitals, I do think
the square I'm going to pick is I'm going to give you a dose. It's your favorite. Daily Didick, the Canadiens, and the Maple Leafs. I know you love the Daily Didick.
The Daily Didick is always a good one, and he's a 0.1%er.
He always is. Right. It's great. It's great.
Canadian and New York Ranger. It's like when you have so many people just going through your head, you're like, I mean, you could always go P.A. Parento, right? Because he was a Canadian.
David Wood is saying Diaz.
Yeah, Rafael Diaz.
Yeah, you could go Rafi Diaz. You could
that's
go.
Not going to be. Yeah, that's not going to be.
Stefan Quintal.
I don't like to say Stefan Quintal's name.
Aaron Asham.
Aaron Asham's a good one.
Yep.
There's definitely somebody that I'm missing. That was a good one.
Russ Courtnall.
Russ Courtnall, I think, is going to be too high. Let's see. Well, so is Chris Nyland would be too high.
Chris Nyland, I think, will be high.
Yeah, he would be.
Wait a minute, huh? Oh, no, that would be for Red Wings, so that wouldn't work.
Were you thinking Greg Johnson?
Actually, I was thinking Pierre Dews.
I mean, I wouldn't overthink it. I mean, Rafael Diaz is probably good, like David says. Probably
good. Yeah, let's do that because we're going to speed these up. We'll do Rafael Diaz. See, with you guys, it's got to be.
Scott Gomez will be too high.
Rafael Diaz is a 1%er, but it's a 0.01%er. All right, a Capital and a Montreal Canadian.
Jan Bolas.
Yeah, Jan Bolas.
Dinas Zubris.
Richard Zednik. I mean, a lot of guys.
I go Bolas. See what Bolas does.
You can do Bolas.
1% for Jan Bolas.
Okay.
Surprised that's 1%. I thought that would have been less.
Yeah, me too.
Phil, Milan Halinska had a shutout for the Rangers, right?
I think he did.
Steve Weeks.
You love to go to Steve Weeks. Milan Halinka.
No, he didn't.
Nope, never did.
He had 5 for Atlanta.
Steve Weeks has one.
I mean, Steve Weeks, yeah, definitely has one.
Well, we got to go Steve Weeks because after all, and they put it in twice. Boom, 0.4%.
Pierre LeBrun saying the Sabres and Jordan Greenway finalizing 2-year extension around $4 million a year.
So that takes off the name off the trade board.
Yeah. Maple Leafs and Predators. You go to Jamie Heward.
Yeah, that's a good one. I would go there.
By the way, Snark Messier, thanks for reposting us.
Snarky's a mutual follow of mine on Twitter.
Yeah.
Good dude. Another Long Islander, fellow Long Islander.
Mark, did you hear us? He said Jamie Heward for Leafs and Preds.
Thank you. Sorry. I was on the other thing. Okay, so we still have Capitals and Predators, not Martin Erad. Let's not do that one.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
No.
JJ Daniel, did he play for the Capitals?
I know he played for the Predators. I don't think he played for the Capitals.
I don't think he played for the Capitals either.
That's one of the few teams that I think he didn't play for, along with the Rangers. Yeah, no, Daniel never played for the Capitals.
No, never played for the Capitals.
Jack Hillen.
Jack Hillen played for both?
Yeah.
Use Jack Hillen then.
Okay.
That would be a good one. Former Islander.
Jack Hillen. How about that?
Former Islander.
All right. Okay, so now we just need one shutout for the Maple Leafs, one shutout for the Capitals, and then it's on to the pyramid.
Mark, this one might be, but maybe Mike Palmateer for Toronto.
It's a good one. I haven't even heard of him, so that must be a pretty good one.
Goaltender.
Mike Palmateer, when he was with the Maple Leafs, he recorded 15 shutouts. So Mike Palmateer, that would be a good one.
This is actually a good one. Josef Bale. At one time, Rangers fans were high. 2%. Wow, surprised he got that much. For Washington, can't use Defoe. Can't use Gary.
Guys like Varlamov and Halak and Neuwirth will probably be too high.
Too high.
Mike Liut would probably be too high.
Yeah, I would say
as well as obviously Beaupre.
Beaupre is still going to be. Beaupre is probably going to be around like 5%, I would imagine.
Who's their goalie?
What about
Al Jensen or Al? What was his name? Al.
You're not thinking Alan Bester, are you?
Yeah, Alan Bester was another one. That he was their goalie, I think, before Pete Peters.
I was about to say Pete Peters.
Pete Peters would be too high.
Bester was never a Capital.
Best. Oh.
No, I was right. Yeah, Al Jensen. He was the goalie for the Capitals in the 80s.
Al Jensen. Okay, I had a different one. You know what? I think Al Jensen could be a good one, Phil.
Go with it.
All right, let's finish it off. Al Jensen. All right. Yeah, there you go, guys. Uniqueness score of 3. Unique New York. Unique New York. You know you need unique New York. All right. It was an old theater vocal warm up. Let's see what we could have done a little bit better right here. We had 2% on the shutouts for the Maple Leafs. There's a ton of guys. Grant Fuhr got 0.9%. Wow.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, Trevor Kidd.
Martin Jones. J.S. Aubin. Wow. George Hainsworth. Marcel Cousineau, who backed up Felix Potvin.
He was an Islander, too.
Yeah.
Ron Lowe. Lauren Chabot.
Lauren Chabot, yeah.
Who was the original New York Rangers.
Yeah.
One. Let's see what we have over here. You know, Anthony, we could have gone with Craig Billington.
Yeah, I mean, Jensen was lower, but
Ron Lowe, 1% there. Oh my god.
Maxime
Ouellet. Remember when he was a big time prospect,
yes,
Anthony?
Yep.
Yeah, he was one of the bigger goaltending prospects in the league in like the early 2000s.
Davey Kerr got a 0.1%. I figured more people would know who Davey Kerr is. Charlie Rayner, that's another one. I should have went with him. Charlie Rayner's in the Hall. I think he's in the Hall. No, he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Kenzie Skapski, the Buffalo beater.
I remember that.
The guy who only would play against Buffalo.
2 career games, both against Buffalo. He was born after the Rangers won the Stanley Cup. They were born during the trade.
Bailey is saying 2 firsts in the Seattle deal going back. According
Elliot Freeman, he writes, he retweeted his own tweet. He wrote, "This is going to happen. Not sure how it all looks, but understand key part of the return is 2 first-round picks from Lightning to Kraken."
By the way, happy anniversary to Mika Zibanejad in his 5-goal game. 5 years removed from it.
2 first round. I mean, the Lightning are a team that they don't have a great prospect pool. Like, to trade 2 firsts, they're all in. They're all in. Mark, fire up the pyramid.
Yep, firing it up right now because I was taking a look at some of those trades, but wow. All right, let's see what the pyramid is, guys. We have, starting with the Chicago Blackhawks. That is the first one. Just got to name a Chicago Blackhawk.
Well, right off the bat, I can tell you click the X for a second.
Okay.
Right off the bat, I think they're leading us to Seth Jones, just because defenseman, USA, Blackhawk. I think that last the last one is only Seth Jones. So
I believe you're correct.
Yeah.
I know. Ooh, hold on. Before we can.
Well, the first one.
It says defenseman. Shit, I had another player in mind that actually played for both of those teams that I think is American as well. I'm trying to. He was actually Canadian. I was thinking Greg Johnson, but he's actually Canadian.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and I keep thinking Steve Sullivan.
Defenseman too. It's a defense.
Steve Sullivan could have fit there, but defenseman.
Well, the first one easy. Just name any Blackhawk. I mean, not much thought there.
Brad Brown.
Brad Brown, sure.
Former Ranger, depth defender.
Okay. So we have 20 career playoff games.
Blackhawk with 20 career playoff games.
Michel Goulet.
Too obvious.
Too obvious, you silly man. Throwing out Michel Goulet's.
A 40th this season.
Big Buff. What about Andrew Ladd or
Too obvious.
Too obvious.
And you know what, Mark? I'm going to give you a double dose. Daly Diduck.
Gerald Diduck.
Yeah, Gerald Diduck definitely has 20 career playoff games.
Yeah.
I know, because in the late 90s, he made it with Phoenix like those few years too.
Yeah.
So a 40 assist season. It has to be a Blackhawk and a player that has a 20 career playoff games and a 40 assist season.
See, would Steve Sullivan fit here?
Steve Sullivan does fit. Steve Thomas also fits. I thought Al Secord, but Al Secord had 40 goals, not 40 assists in a season.
Mariota, I'm going to hit you with another one of my favorite guys that fits here. You know who it is?
Not Creighton.
No. It's Constant Crossman, Doug Crossman.
Doug Crossman had 40 assists in a season?
Yes, he has. Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
He was one of the better puck-moving defenders in the mid to late 80s.
Yeah, look at that back-to-back for you there, Mark.
There you go. We're still at, I believe we're still at 0 on that. Yeah, we're still at 0. So now we need an American Blackhawk.
All right, now it gets.
I could tell you right off the bat, it's too obvious, though. Tony Amonte fits this perfectly.
Okay. So does Gary Suter, doesn't he?
Gary Suter does fit that, yes.
Yeah, because I think he played for the Hawks.
I don't know if you want to save him for the defenseman part, but I think James Wisniewski fits all of those.
He is American. And I know for a fact that because he has a 50-point season, so I believe he has a 40 assist season with that.
I'm checking there. He has 41 assist season with Anaheim combined with the New York Islanders.
Yeah.
Montreal. Yeah.
You want to save him for the defenseman part then?
He also has another 40 assist season in 2014 with Columbus.
I think it was definitely saving either him or Suter for this one.
Well, you could use him. You could use him in either one, the nationality one or the defenseman.
Yeah, remember when he made the what's this called, a movement or gesture during the Ranger Islander game?
Laughlin also fits too, as Leo's saying, because he's American. A lot of people forget he's actually American.
What about Brian Berard?
Brian Berard's also a Blackhawk.
All right,
I'm pretty sure he also has a 40 assist season.
Does he have 20 playoff games? Because who would he play 20 playoff games with?
Oh, that's a good point.
Check.
The Maple Leafs. I think he probably falls either just short or bang on. While I'm at it, Wisniewski.
It's 20. He does have 20 playoff
20
games.
Exactly.
20, yeah, he fits. And he has a 40 assist season as a rookie.
So which one do you want to do? Do you want to do Berard? Or
I think Wisniewski is probably the one that's going to be the one that gets the lowest, if you ask me.
But I think Wisniewski would get lower on the next one. That's the thing. So here we go.
Either way, I don't think many people Berard is a Blackhawk. If you plug him in here, it's going to be low.
Still
zero.
All right, but this is where you go, Wisniewski. James Wisniewski.
Okay. Still at zero.
Still 0.
Wow. So we need a Blackhawk with 20 career playoff games, a 40 assist season, and an American defenseman.
And this has to only
be a
National
Predator, by the way.
Has to only be Seth Jones, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know what other.
I had to check on this guy because he's been everywhere. See if Matthew Schneider somehow ended up on both those.
No, he never played for Nashville. I can tell you that right now.
I mean, Kimo Timonen came to mind, but he's not American, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. He fits everything, but he's not American.
Yeah, I think this one is just Seth Jones, guys.
Because Ryan Suter never played for Chicago.
Seth Jones is the obvious one, and they have to be kind of going towards that.
Yeah, I can't think of another Predator Blackhawk combination defenseman that's also American. And
Marc went and did it, and it was 0.
Yeah.
Wow. Is he? Yeah, the only one.
He's the only one.
Yeah.
That's why I had to do it, guys. Obviously, Chelios was the American defenseman, but we chose wisely with Brian Berard. Wisniewski would have also had that one.
Yeah, I knew that I knew that Wisniewski was going to be a low one because a lot of people don't remember him as like a big time point producer, but he had a couple years earlier on last decade where he was a point producer.
And Dave Christian was on this list, so that was also a good number. And then Brian Smolinski. So, yeah, you know what, guys? Those were some good Puckdokus. So
why is my thing so blurry?
We had a 0. Yeah, you are blurry. I don't know.
Oh, now it's better. Okay.
Yeah. To have a 0%er on a pyramid. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think that's the first ever time we've done that.
Yeah.
411 on with us now. And Anthony was worried about not getting the numbers.
True.
We still got the numbers here. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we're this is like a little mini trade deadline special. Yeah, we're going on early because we had the afternoon.
The next BA merch drop needs to be a Daily Didick shirt.
Can we just have like his picture like of his face and it just says Daily and then Didick and then like a Big Apple Hockey logo on it?
And then Marc put all the logos of the teams he played for around his face on the shirt.
Yeah.
Oh
my God, that'd be great.
Sponsored by Puckdoku.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Because the one I always say is the Daily Didick and the Constant Crossman.
You know what's funny? If you look at Diddick's stats early on in his career with the Islanders, he actually put up some points, and then if you look at his stats later on in his career, he turned into like a I don't know. He didn't score. I feel like he didn't score as much.
What, Crossman?
No, Didick.
Yeah, Didick. Yeah, he was. I mean, he wasn't a big time point producer. You got to remember.
And correct me if I'm wrong. He was on the Vancouver Blue Line in '94, Phil.
He was. Yes. Dave Babbage was too. And Babbage was a bigger point producer in the 80s. Like, Didick had like 1 year where he had 30 points. He had like 11 goals.
Yeah, with the Islanders. Yeah.
And then he never turned into an offensive defenseman. It was just, but you got to remember 32 points at that time, back in that day. That's not a lot. Like, that probably translates to like 20 points now these days.
Yeah.
Maybe even less.
This is a good question. I highlighted this one from Bluegrass and Beyond, but it was
who replaces Laviolette and Drury.
This is one reason why you don't exactly automatically assume they're going to get fired, because who then replaces them? And Drury did.
Chris T is saying that it's official. Hold on.
The Seattle trade?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. Friedman hasn't confirmed official yet, but I'm sure it is. I'm not doubting it. I think it's obvious that it's going through.
Some talk. Pagnotta saying some talk. Seattle is calling up a player from the AHL, Jacob Melanson, perhaps related to their potential trade with Tampa Bay. And there's Friedman again. VCR coach Rick Tocchet says Quinn Hughes will not play tonight against Ducks. Tweak something versus Kraken on the weekend. Yeah, I'm sure he was working that VCR to figure out what happened. Renaud Lavoie saying it? Ooh, okay. Hold on. I follow him too. Like, I have his on.
By the way, once again, everybody, make sure that you tune in this week. We're going to have the trade deadline special on Saturday. Oh, sorry, on Friday, not on Saturday. And we're going to begin at noon unless we got to break on in because there's some big news that happens.
Renaud Lavoie it just tweeted out 10 minutes ago that it happened. He didn't tweet out anything else. I'm not sure if he's piggybacking or if he's confirming that. I mean, he is RDS's top. He's their top guy. And he's pretty reliable. He doesn't throw out stuff like just to try to get stuff first. He's got to be hearing that they're very close to this deal. So, I mean, or maybe even finalized it. Oh, LeBron just tweeted. Okay, done deal. So yeah. Okay.
Is there any concern for Yanni Gourde, whose numbers have kind of going down?
Well, he's been hurt.
Yeah, but last season, 80 games, 11 goals, 22 assists, and a -11. Like, that doesn't exactly instill.
All right. Okay. So Seattle gets a first-round pick in 2026, a first-round pick in 2027, Toronto's second in 2025, and Mikey Eyssimont. The Tampa gets Gourde, Bjorkstrand, and a fifth-rounder in 2026. Finalized. We're done. Trade breakers on BAH. Let's go.
There's going to be a lot more of those. A lot more.
Oh, man. Steve S. saying, suspecting that we're coming back before the Ranger game. Well, Steve, if something big happens, we will come back. But as of right now, I don't see anything. But if Chris Kreider got dealt out of nowhere, we would have a Mark Williams with tears in his eyes because his fan club would be broken up.
Yeah, but also I know it's time. Like, I mean, this is sort of like shades of when Adam Graves was going to get traded or got traded to the San Jose Sharks, when you just know it's over.
I'm trying to find this comment from earlier on, so I can't remember who posted it.
By the way, Vince Mercogliano was saying that the morning skate This is actually 4 hours ago. Kreider was on the ice. Riley Smith was not, but that would make sense.
Yeah,
Yes,
Anthony's just texting us with what I just announced before. But I'm trying to find this comment. But someone in the chat, I can't remember who it was. Sorry. If you're still in here, please call yourself out. But someone asked how Marc likes the JT Miller reunion now. I was going to ask how you like reunions in general, but like
I know. Phil, it is kind of funny, and I was dead set against it. Look, all credit to JT Miller. JT Miller has done all the right things, and he looks like the player that Ranger fans have kind of been craving. I just hope he keeps it up. I hope he can maintain that intensity. A couple things I have to say. One, and I'm gonna say this. Everybody talks about how well he's gonna stay on his teammates. I just want to know if he's just as self-critical. And the reason why I say it like that is because if you're not, that's gonna weigh on your teammates a lot, and they're gonna get tired of that pretty quick. The other thing is, if everything that they're saying about him is true, is he the next captain of the New York Rangers?
What, the Miller?
Miller.
Sorry, I was responding to a tweet.
Well, if what Miller is true, what they're saying about him, because you gotta like the way he's played, and I think they're gonna start really crafting this team to be worked around him. That's why I don't think Artemi Panarin's coming back next year. For starters, in the power play, Miller's spot is exactly where Panarin's is. And
Miller seems to be on the far side boards, not the near side boards, on his left-hand side. And he's good because he goes all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
He has no problem. He's not somebody that likes to stay stationary on the power play, which is good. But you usually see him on the right-hand side boards with his left-hand shot. But maybe JT Miller is the next captain. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I like his mentality, his alpha dog mentality, and the fact that he demands the effort from his teammates that he gives, which is, I was going to highlight that. Yeah, I like this question. I'll just finish up about Miller and the Rangers captaincy, but I mean, logically speaking, that would be a good choice for captain. So as for what Montreal will do, I don't think they're going to really buy. Ooh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I also don't think they're going to be major sellers. They might just deal what they can get for maybe like Joel Armia or something like that. I could see them getting some interest for him. I really wonder about like how much they can get for a guy like him. I mean, Christian Dvorak, could they move him too? I mean, looking at their team, I would take advantage of what you can get for your rentals. I mean, Dvorak's a center. Centers are always in demand. It's a decent middle six guy, kind of on the pricier side with a 4.45 for what he is.
By the way, remember when Dvorak was supposed to seamlessly go in and replace Kakadiemi?
Yeah, and he just really, I mean, his development kind of stunted a bit. He was someone I thought was going to turn into maybe like a 50, 60-point player, and he just never did. Does Montreal use David Savard as their own rental? I mean, for me, I would move him, but Pizzetta's probably not going to get you much. He's a fringe winger. But Dvorak, Armia, and Savard would be really the guys you could think about moving.
What do you think About a Brock Besser trade by Friday.
Wow. It doesn't seem like there's much traction on talks between these two sides.
Right, and it's kind of like, is it just be Filk, or it's like Brock Besser to the Jersey Devils? I heard that at one point. I'm like, yeah, it's Timo Meier. Why would the Devils make that
They
deal?
need a center more than anything.
Yeah,
I mean, getting another winger is not really going to help them because their center depth is just not good enough.
I'm going to save the Palmieri one for Anthony because I think he could tell us what markets there are for Palmieri. Trying to remember where Anthony has. Oh, wait, hold on. I got my notes. I can just look it up. How about that?
Yeah, Vince reposting his article saying one of the bullet points that he broke down was something's brewing with Chris Kreider, but a trade is more likely this summer. So.
Do you think Edmonton could trade out Evander Kane or Arvidsson?
I think Edmonton's going to be aggressive. They're going to go get a bunch of depth pieces on forward and defense. If they can somehow muster a trade for John Gibson, that would be something I think they would look into too. But I do think that Edmonton's going to be aggressive. They were aggressive this offseason, and the guys that they brought in really haven't worked. So I definitely see Edmonton getting aggressive.
And again, I've been on record saying this with Panarin. I doubt this week for Panarin.
No.
But if you're telling me the NHL draft, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Panarin could be dealt in the offseason, especially if this team identifies that they're not going to re-sign him. It would make sense to deal him in the offseason. Maybe not at the draft, but sometime, I would say by August, mid-August, something like that. So this way he has time to set up in wherever his new location is. Be there in time for training camp, have everything figured out in that regard. Amrick saying Dobson for Reinbacher. Waugh, and at first I don't know who that was. I'm guessing that's a prospect. I don't know Montreal's prospect pool. Others.
I think Montreal hangs up on this deal, to be honest with you.
I don't think Montreal wants to move Reinbacher. I don't. I think he's, in terms of their non-NHL players, I think he's nearly immovable for them.
Johnny Red is asking this one. Would you guys rather lose the first rounder this year or next year when it's not protected? I'd rather lose it this year.
I'd rather lose it this year too. To me, next year is a better draft. Next year is a much better draft. If you have a shot at Gavin McKenna by any chance, I don't think you want to lose that shot. I think he's going to be a very good player. I mean, we saw a little bit of him at the World Juniors this year, and he looked to be one of the better Canadian forwards. The forward group there was kind of lackluster, but he looked like he was a difference maker on that roster as a 16-year-old, and that's saying something. So Noah Dobson for Jordan Kyrou 1-for-1. I don't think St. Louis does that. I think
I don't either.
They need Dobson.
Well, how is the relationship with Kyrou and St. Louis right now?
He could get dealt. I know that they're not happy with his production since the deal was signed. But this is a guy that still has a ton of talent and some room for growth at 26. Like I still think he could be like a point per game player or better. He's one of the fastest skaters in the entire league. Multiple 30-goal seasons. And his cap hit is not bad for what he is. So I would. Sorry.
Well, have the fans kind of eased up on him, which I'm assuming they have, because they are over a year removed from Craig Berube being fired, and he was getting booed for a little bit.
So his numbers have gone down a bit since that deal. he's got a full no move that starts, or not a full no move, a full no trade that starts July 1st of this year. So if they're looking to move him, I get why, because it's a Derek Stepan situation.
Mm-hmm.
Want to move him before the trade protection kicks in. Thank you both, by the way, for Johnny and Leo. But it's the same question that's going around Pettersson right now. Do you move him before the protection kicks in, or do you give him a chance to figure things out?
I think Pettersson, you have to. I'm not sure if you do that with Kyrou.
Yeah, I'm not sure either with Kyrou, because at least with Kyrou, he has a chance to live up to that deal. Pettersson signed his deal, and from the minute he signed his deal, his numbers have plummeted big time.
Oh yeah. I mean, never mind just him. But what about? I mean, you got guys that are mentioning this all the time. Obviously, we talked about Alexei Lafreniere, trying to trade him, or there are people. There's a community that's starting to think Adam Fox should be traded before July.
Oh God, no! Stop.
I know. I have the conversation with all of them, because my first thing I usually say is, who are you replacing Adam Fox with? Is he slow? You want to say he's slow? Fine. Give him a chance to actually get that knee fixed, by the way. And the other thing is, give him a defense partner. Dominic is asking this one, Phil. Does Perot sign after the Final Four, and will he play if the Rangers make the playoffs?
Don't expect Gabe Perot. Don't. No need to rush him.
And I don't think the Rangers want to start that clock just yet.
No.
It's a rare time where you need to up that. The Rangers in 2011, 2012 had to with Chris Kreider, because they had a spot, they needed to fill it, and look, it paid off for them. Leo saying that my money is on EP40 going to Buffalo in the offseason. See, by the way, I think EP40 works. It's just there's so many times where guys will use any initials, like, MZ93. Like, you just
yeah, there's certain ones, AK-27 because of Kovalov. Yeah, well, that was a different story.
Yeah. Okay, Christy's also asking, what are the Edmonton Oilers' top needs at the deadline? Goalie or winger for McDavid? Look, if you can't improve the goal, you have to improve the defense. So, but
I would say, I wonder if Edmonton would look at Rickard Rakell, because that would be a winger that could come in and play with him or Draisaitl.
It'll be nice if they can acquire Zach Hyman, because I don't know who's on the team now. I have him in fantasy. Zach Hyman, 30 goals less than what he has last year. So,
yeah, Hyman's. That's one of those. He's one of those guys where he just had that monster season. It's that I don't ever think that was ever sustainable in any such sort of way. He doesn't even remind me of Chris Kreider in the aspect that he's had talent and it's been inconsistency. Like, Zach Hyman has kind of just been what he is, and then he went and played with McDavid, and he was a McDavid merchant.
Yeah.
This one I can see. Connor Murphy makes a lot of sense for Edmonton, and I think it was it Elliot Friedman or was it EJ Raddick, I think, on the NHL Network the other day, I think, mentioned it as well, and said that they think that Connor Murphy would make a lot of sense for them too, because he could play both sides, left and right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a manageable cap, and he's got term on it. I think he's making like 4.45 against the cap. I think it is for Murphy. So
I'm actually getting to those numbers right now, because going through these. So I wanted to look up Edmonton's assets to see what they have. Connor Murphy is 4.4, and he's still under contract for another year. And guys, we'll do about another 10 more minutes. Like we joked that we're going to have to be back again. They still have their first round draft pick next year. Oh, wait, it's conditional. And it could go to Philadelphia. But they still have a second, a third next year.
Donato is another name that not a lot of people are talking about right now, and he could get a decent return.
Where do you think Ryan O'Reilly's going to go?
I don't think he goes anywhere.
He's got 2 years left, it says.
I don't think he goes anywhere. I don't think Nashville wants to retain on that, and they may have to retain on it.
I am truly flabbergasted by what Nashville has done this year.
Yeah, it's for all the talent they have, they should not be this bad of a team. Something is going on behind the scenes.
Do you think they move on from Brunette?
You have to at this point.
Yeah, I think
they've obviously stopped responding to him.
And
he's got O'Reilly's probably going to finish with maybe 50 points. I mean, he's still a good player. He's a decline candidate, though.
Yeah. I am going to be very curiously looking at that Mikko Rantanen location on Friday.
Yeah, I was talking about this before on YR for Life. That's I can see the Rangers looking for left-handed, left shot defenseman as well, just because their left side's kind of up in the air right now. Fox will eventually be back, and I imagine probably before the playoffs. But I do think that left shot defenseman. I wonder if Soucy would be one of. I know that not a lot of people are high on him. I think he could be better on a different team. Size, length, kind of fits what the Rangers are looking for. He's got another year left at 3.25 after this, so it is palatable for the Rangers to get him. I don't think Soucy would cost all that much with the down year he's having too. I mean, it would be an upgrade over. I don't know. I mean, I know some are high on Vakanainen. I don't think he's all that great. That's just me. I don't know. I think Vakanainen is really. If Vakanainen's your 7, okay, that's fine by me. He's played probably better than I expected, but I'm not high on him. I'm really not. I think he's all right. I think he's overrated by a good portion of this fan base, though. I think people look at him and they see, oh, okay. And then they look at the charts and they're like, oh, and that's where they fall in love with him because the charts say that he's like really good. I don't agree with the charts on that.
I would go to just him being a 6. That's about it. Not gonna.
Staples reporting that the Islanders are still attempting to extend Brock Nelson. Could see them trying. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it, though. Phil Kocher trying to do a little soft tampering here, talking about Brady Tkachuk. Ottawa Citizen tweets today's letter: should Brady Tkachuk really be Senators' captain?
That is, I saw that article that they put out, and I just thought that's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous all the way through because, come on. Yes, he should still be your captain until he's traded.
Vince Dunn, I don't think, is going anywhere.
I think Vince Dunn's in a contract for a while. Yeah, Vince Dunn's on the contract till 2027, and it's 7.5. Sorry, 7.35.
Yeah, 7.35. Yeah, he's got a full no trade this year, and then he has a 16 team the next 2 years. So, I mean,
Jamie Oleksiak, different story.
Oleksiak is another one who I think could be a candidate for the Rangers. I know it's another one where everybody's saying, "Oh, stay away, stay away." I mean, he actually moved well for a guy his size.
Hey, Seattle's got this guy that's he was a pretty good player for them. Let me see. You got to get his point total. He's only making 2.4 million.
Seattle's not. They're not retaining.
I think his name is Capo.
I could see Florida getting Brandon Tanev. He just Nyquist even did another trade deadline prediction video, and he had, and then Gravite also did it as well. And he also said, Tanev to Florida. I think it just makes too much sense. He's like he ends up it feels like Tanev would be a Lombard replacement for Florida.
Yeah.
I don't think up to LA ends up happening.
Yeah.
I think he fits. But I personally, if I'm LA and I'm going to go out and I'm going to give up assets for a winger, LA should go for Rantanen. They should.
Yeah.
Contact Carolina, say, what do you want for Rantanen? We're not going to give you what you gave up to get him, but what do you want for it?
Which, by the way, we actually have a short that I can make out of this from last week, but you got to think Colorado's already starting to work on an extension for Marty Natchez.
Oh yeah, they're definitely working on an extension for him. They're not going to give up Mikko Rantanen and Marty Natchez. To me, like I think he fits there. I really do. He can play with Nathan McKinnon. He's fast. He has some size. He's 6'3". At about 200 pounds. He's not where he was earlier in the year points-wise, but he's got 13 points in 13 games with Colorado. So he is playing well. I do think that once he really gets comfortable there and he really starts getting that chemistry with those guys and it's really there, I think he'll probably be a guy that scores anywhere from like 85 to 95 points, somewhere in that range.
Right now we got 437 of you guys in
this is nice.
In the stream.
439 now, very nice.
439. Make sure that you're all subscribed to the channel, if not here on X, where we have been getting a huge amount of traffic, as well as getting guys that are on the and getting everybody coming on with Instagram. And
that's Anthony in the chat, by the way. That's not me typing that. And he says he thinks Toronto responds by trading for Shen or Lawton. I think it's Lawton. I think it's Scott Lawton. I don't think Braden Shen gets moved. I think there's definitely complications about his contract. I think that's an off-season deal. Yeah, like Matt saying, definitely like, share, and subscribe, please.
We'll check the numbers on that right now, but Christie's saying that extension with Greenway and Buffalo, 2 years, $8 million.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that AAV for him. If you would have told me he got 2.75 or 3, okay, 4 is a bit much for him, but the cap's going up, so I'm guessing that's why. And Olivier getting $3 million over 6 years. I mean, not a bad player to have. Definitely a little pricey. But is Toronto a different team this year?
I'm going to say two things about that. Yes, they are, and also no, they're not. Because my number one problem with that is Anthony Stolarz right now he's turning in a really good season with them. He was, let's see, it was second in save percentage. I think he was second in save percentage, third in goals against. And I'm going through his career stats right now. This is the problem I have, and this is what I always bring up with guys. Maximum amount of games he's played in a season is 28. And you're going to tell me you're going to rely on him to backstop day in and day out for a few months? No, it's not happening. Not happening.
Yeah, I don't buy Stolarz at all. I don't think he's that good. Just don't.
It's an outlier season right now.
Greenway does a lot that doesn't show. Yeah, I mean, I understand this to a point. I just think that overpaying guys based on intangibles is something that hasn't worked out well in the past for teams. Historically, it just doesn't work out a lot of the time. So I'm not a fan of Greenway at $4 million. And then this is actually a good question. If if Edmonton falls short, does McDavid want out? This has been, I feel like, a question for the last 3 years. Sure, maybe there is a chance. I don't know. I don't think Edmonton will. I think they'll give him $18 million if he wants $18 million.
And the second thing I'd say is, hold on.
Detroit is involved in the deal. Okay. So
which deal is this one?
Yeah.
I think that since Draisaitl re-signed, I don't think McDavid goes anywhere. I think it's also terrible cap management, but you can't pay everybody. Can't pay everybody forever. And if you have to pick which one you're going to have, Draisaitl or McDavid, you pick McDavid, and then you take that money and spend it elsewhere. The only thing dumber would be spending $11.5 million on a goaltender. Sorry, everybody.
Retaining 50% on Gourde. Detroit is retaining on Gourde as well. So that uses up one of Seattle's retention spots.
I don't understand why Detroit would do this. Like, what's with Detroit?
They're going to get a pick out of it.
Are they going to get a pick? But Yzerman, really? You're competing with Tampa right now. You're trying to make the playoffs.
Detroit's going to get a pick for letting this happen. I get where you're coming from, but I'd imagine this pick is probably going to be like a second-round pick. I mean, yeah, Yzerman could be like Snappers is saying, Yzerman could be throwing, a lob to his old team. There's
that's
definitely
not
a relationship there with him and Brisebois, obviously, because Brisebois was his protege. But
does he have his name on the Stanley Cup from his time in Tampa? Of course not. So, did he get a share of the Stanley Cup money? No, he's got his own team. He's got to get in the playoffs. I don't understand why he's doing this. All the Islanders left for California an hour ago.
I love the two words at the beginning.
Can confirm.
Can confirm. Need a Letterkenny video clip for that one too.
Yeah. Well, then there's always rat ass. Why do they call him rat ass? Because he's got a hairy ass like a rat.
I was actually just gonna say that the Islanders left for California and Nelson and everybody are with the team. So not saying that necessarily means anything, but I don't know, the fact that they're flying all the way out to California. If Lou is planning on trading one of these guys, wouldn't he just leave him here so they don't have to fly across the country for no reason? So
here's a good one.
No, Chris T. No, not even if an extension was in place. Minnesota's not going to give up young assets like Zeev Buium to get Brock Nelson. So if that's an Islanders fan, I know you're not an Islanders fan, obviously, Chris, but if any Islander fan thinks that they're getting Zeev Buium for Brock Nelson or a prospect of that level, I hate to tell you this, but that's not happening. That's not happening. That would be an ERAT for Forsberg level blunder, and that's not going to happen. Yeah, that's Islanders fans. Just that's That's their dream. That's their pipe dream. Yeah, that's all that it is. Minnesota's not dealing with William. There's no way they're dealing him unless it's an elite talent coming back. And it's somebody with term, not a rental.
Like I said, once again, everybody, make sure you like and subscribe. We got the trade deadline special that's going to be coming on Friday at noon. If not earlier, we might have to break some more trades. And we're going to have guests. Ranger Central is going to be on with us, possibly some more people. And again, it's going to be the same thing. Guys coming in and out, lots of hockey talk, and Anthony going off to make a comment and to troll me. So, although he likes to do it on camera too. So.
Mark, I heard you say were you saying why would Yzerman help out Tampa? Is
Yeah.
that what you were saying? I mean, it's former team, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you're competing with them right now.
Yeah.
You're trying to make Yzerman's first priority has to be that he gets his team in the playoffs, because his job has, if it's not on the line, they got to start talking about it.
You know what? I will say that I do cut like, so for instance, where is it? Who just said about Detroit? Oh, he said Detroit higher. There is something to what you're saying, Mark. Like, you're gonna retain salary on a team you're in your division just to get a 4th round pick.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
buy it.
Do that.
I don't buy it as long as it doesn't like affect. I guess Yzerman. I'll throw him that, but it's not going to affect what we're doing.
For me, I would have wanted a higher pick if I'm doing it for a team that I'm chasing in the division and in the playoff race. I would have wanted a higher pick than a 4th.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If he was ultimately landing in, LA, then yeah, I don't care. But you're doing all that to retain salary to help the Lightning acquire a player, and you're just getting a 4th round pick. I mean, for me, that's, I don't know.
Anthony, go. All right, hold on. Go here.
No, I was say Chris saying the Rangers should use up the retention slots by Friday if they're trading Smith. Let's load up on draft capital.
We're gonna go with this one right here from Mr. Jamspan saying a shorter trip for Colorado for Nilsson, or to LA for Palmieri. Also, Anthony, what's the market for Palmieri right now?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really heard many of the insiders talk about him and name specific destinations. But I mean, any contender, I think, right? He's a guy that could score goals. I think he scored his 20th last night, right? So, I mean, any playoff bound team that wants scoring, he's a guy that can help. And he's also, he's strong on the puck. He's not afraid to get his nose dirty. He's not a perimeter player. Palmieri drives to the net. You saw the play against the Rangers where he hit the post. I don't know what defenseman it was, but he leaned his shoulder in, he beat him, went wide, and he just couldn't get it past Igor. But that's the kind of player he is. He's not afraid to drive the net or be a perimeter player. He plays with some jam. And I think he would be a good addition for any playoff bound team. But I can't say I heard any teams specifically for him.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of beards, and I wonder if Lou will change, considering
the Yankees did.
Yankees changed.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to see what happens with Lou on the facial hair policy.
Yeah, because after all, his inspiration for all this was the Yankees, because he was close with Steinbrenner. So, I don't know if that would make him rethink things or not. But
I personally think, yet again, they shouldn't have changed their facial hair policy. All I hear is players whining about it, because now the other thing is now you have to actually enforce it. So now you're going to get guys going, well, I am groomed. No, you're not.
Yeah.
They said, well, groomed. No, just clean shaven. Clean shaven's clean shaven. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Now, I also think when people go, oh, it might cost them players to want to be a New York Yankee. Everybody's going to want to be a New York Yankee. I can understand if people want to say it's a New York Islander.
My nightmare blunt rotation. Oh man.
I'm gonna hop off. We gotta do some of the homework routine and all that stuff. So I'll see you boys later. And again, if something happens later today or tomorrow, if not,
I might not be available because I think I'm going to my buddy's house for the game. So
yeah, and I'm probably not gonna be available for tonight. So that's gonna be another issue. Hopefully, but again, yes, we'll be available tomorrow, Anthony. We got a lot of work, me and you and Phil are all going to have to do. Phil, actually, are you ready to go now?
Yeah, we can probably wrap it up now. It's a 2.5 hour stream, so
yeah,
it's a big one.
And Sean, I addressed this before. Not only am I impressed,
that's the comments. Yeah, that was the comments I was looking for.
Am I impressed by what he's done? Yes, I am impressed. Still come back to me in a couple of years on him, but also I would entertain the idea of Miller being the Rangers' ex-captain, but we will see about that. Yeah. Oh shit, Earl of Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's still just great. Like again, we had so many different ones that we broke
on Friday.
Yeah. So we got a lot.
We got a lot to talk about on Friday.
A lot we're going to be talking about.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate that. Just remember, we will have Matt and Evan from Rangers Central on with us on Friday. So it's going to be a big show. We're going to have a lot to talk about. If any other deals happen in the meantime, we'll be going over those as well. And then obviously the names that are still out there. Gotta wonder if Brock Nelson ends up going. Yeah, I mean, it just how Vegas keeps getting away with this. That's really how can they keep getting away with this? That's really that was just me in that moment. So
yeah, and I mean, right now you got a couple different players that are on LTIR. I wonder if the Adam Fox thing ends up becoming something they try to exploit to try to get somebody else in there. But again, the problem is with some of the stuff, you're not getting Mika Rantanen in because Carolina isn't dealing them over. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't necessarily see it. And the other problem is I don't necessarily see the Rangers moving on from K'Andre Miller right now. That's
not right now.
Not right now.
If they do that, it's in the off season. But I think that would be a part of a hockey trade. So.
Yeah. Thanks always, boys. This is why we do this, and we're still working on trying to get more out of this. So it's going to be a great show on Friday. Cannot wait for it. I am zapped on energy right now, but yeah, still never got rid of that. Never got to ban that other one, Phil. That whatever that was, that spam bot.
Oh yeah, that Twitch bot.
Yeah.
No, not Christopher, Michael, not you. We know you're not a bot.
Yes, we know.
There was another a bot that yeah, and I saw it on the last stream we did too. There was a bot that was coming in on Twitch. It was leaving a link and it said remove the space or whatever. I don't know if there is a way to remove those or not. On that.
Yeah, or if you do try to remove that, ends up being detrimental. But is what it is. But everybody, thanks very much for joining us today. We are going to be back, like I keep saying, at noon on Friday. However, who knows? Could be earlier.
Could be earlier.
I'm going to be up at 9 o'clock in the morning getting a lot of this ready. So everybody, thank you very much for joining us once again, and we will see you soon.